All right, all right. Perfect. Good job. Nobody sang it this week though. I remember back in the day, like everybody like yelled it. Like that was like when we played back in the day. You didn't yell it. Ah, you were yelling? Okay, I didn't hear it back in the day, which was like a couple weeks ago. I don't know. Like everybody like yelled it. That was awesome. I love that song. I will play that for the rest of my time in youth ministry because B-level film photography, awesome. Um, and the fact that teenagers made that, right? Like the short Jordan kid was the one rapping that. That was pretty amazing. He made the whole thing up. Anyway, good morning. Yes, I'm wearing Crocs in sport mode. I just joined the club this week, so where are my Croc fans? All right, so a couple of Croc fans. Like, yeah, I figured I'd try out. My wife said they're the best things ever, and I was like, maybe, we'll see. So, like I said, I kept it in sport mode because you never know what's going to happen in youth ministry. Crew, we start back this Wednesday. We had VBS. We had 139 kids. 9 of them asked Jesus into their heart. Big week, awesome week. Yes, very good deal. Very cool week. I won, but I still managed to lose and get a pie in my face. I don't know how that's possible. And I wore like a Frozen dress. It was weird. So boys won. It was awesome. Wednesday crew, we will start our brand new. This is a great time for you to jump in with crew because we're starting something new. So you don't have to feel like, oh, they're already talking about some stuff. This would be a good Wednesday night to join. 6:45, 8:15, right here. All right. Oh, worship team, see Sarah. We've got a little form that you have to fill out just so that we know how to contact you and stuff like that, including our tech team. If you want to join the tech team, please let us know. If you are gifted and talented in the worship area, or if you're just average at best, like me. Chambersburg Project, still registration's open. It is a day camp, so if you want to do Chambersburg Project, go to chambersburgproject.com and fill out their application. They will get back to you with information. You have to have completed the 7th grade. So my just finished 6th graders, sorry, can't do it. 7th through 12th. Scholarship, I think there's one more week for this. Have you all turned your stuff in? Do you want my money? Is it due the 15th? 15th at 4 p.m. So like you're running out of time because that's probably on your list of things to do. And then we are live streaming. We're live streaming right now. Ottermine Church, so OcYth on YouTube, or if you're on Facebook, you can join the OcYth, and I post the link there every week. So in case you miss it, that's where you can find it. Boy, I should update that because February 21st was a while ago. All right, so I need a guy and a girl today, a lady and a gentleman. Have you, somebody that hasn't been up in a while? It's been a while. I don't know. Yes, no? Nobody wants to try. Who wants to all right, you want to do it? Thank you. Hey, by the way, thanks for the card. That was amazing. I kind of freaked out when I'm praying, what's happening? And then all of a sudden there's this big card and I'm like, dear Jesus, what is happening? Very cool of you guys to think of us. So I didn't get a chance to, whoever was part of thinking that through and all of you guys that signed the card that week, that was pretty sweet. Selah was like, hey, I know that card because she signed it in her group too. And so she signed her own card. It was amazing. So I came home with it. She's like, I know that card. So very cool of you guys. I did not get a chance to say thank you for that. So I guess come on up, lady. Or you're praying. What's the, you're praying that you don't win? All right, so a very simple game. You can compete against the person next to you. Actually, here, let's make it fun. They're like, wait, Dwight's making things fun. No. All right, so normally I would have you some kind of buzz in, but how often do you get to abuse the youth pastor? So put your hand right there, both of you guys. So the first, it's kind of like Slap Blue. You guys remember Slap Blue? Anybody play that with me? Old school game. Then get off my stage. No, I'm just kidding. So the person that slaps my hand first, I'm going to show you emojis that resemble the title of a movie, okay? You have to tell me the movie. So first person to slap me. See, you should have chose this because you would have been able to slap my hand. So guess the title of the movie. You had no ums, no like. You have to know the title before you slap. It's not like Family Feud where like, and then they're like, well, I will be like, next person. Okay? You have to know the title. You can lightly tap, but he could slap your hand on top of it. Or I could have another lady come up here. It's your choice.
No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well, I compete with the person next to you. I want them to beat each other. So it's you two. Yeah, here, you two. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. The Fox and the Hound. Wow, she didn't even hit my hand. She got it, yeah. He can slide under you if, you don't tap faster. All right. I'm okay with it. I'm a strong individual. I believe in my pain threshold. I've seen my wife give birth, so you slapping hands is not going to hurt me. All right, you ready? I want to duck so you guys don't, miss it. 1, 2, 3, go.
Hotel Transylvania.
There you got it. All right, 1-1. Hotel Transylvania. Why are you guys so, I have offered you a chance to make my hand red, and you guys are like, meow. All right, ready? Does she get it first? All right. I'm not looking. I'm waiting for the pain to happen. There is no pain. This is amazing. This is crazy. All right. Right. Keep your hand down, though. I don't want you to no cheating. No, get it down. All right, ready? What is that?
Madagascar.
This is Madagascar. I like how you guys are actually competing in the audience. You're like, oh yeah, I'm so dumb. All right, let's try this again. Huh? No, it is not When Horton Hears a Who. Yeah.
I figured it's.
It is Dumbo.
I get my elephants mixed up.
She loves her elephant music that she got mixed up. I understand that.
No. Okay.
All right, here we go. You ready? Yeah, nobody's hit. This is the best game ever. All right, ready? Go. Oh, wait. Click my next slide for me. I don't know why it's not clicking. Go ahead. It is The Wizard of Oz. Man, I love this game. I was fearful of this game at the beginning. All right.
Spider-Man.
You're getting buried, bro. She is burying you. All right, here we go. How many? Do I have a couple left? Flash. This is still a little tap. I'm waiting for somebody to haul off. I like how now they're like, Aiden, hit him! I'm going to get punched. That's why I'm ducking.
Home Alone.
What do you guys think? You guys think it's Home Alone? It is, yeah. Oh, you know what the... Ooh, this is a hard one. Ooh, do, 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 do. Oh, somebody from the audience can come up and slap my hand then.
The Greatest Showman.
He didn't even hit my hand. The Greatest Showman. I was going to sing some songs. I like how they're high-fiving. I got it. The Greatest Showman. What's the line that's so addicting to that movie? This is the greatest. All right, there you go. Yeah. I didn't say I could sing good. I at least carried somewhat of a key. All right, here we go. Not that there's a tie. She buried you, dude. You lost. What? How is that? Oh, I left it there. Oh, that was the Phantom of the Opera. Oh, it's an idiot. So nobody hit my hand. Okay, there you go. Bye. Praise and worship team, come on up. I thought that was pretty clever of a movie selection. Would you have gotten Phantom of the Opera? No. Okay. You got it? All right.
Hello. Y'all want to get up a while and stretch while I get ready? Because don't have a lot of time. Okay, now we're ready. Good morning. A little bit more enthusiasm. Good morning. Okay, so I ran out of things that we could do in place, so we're doing a breathing exercise this morning. I learned this in college. I paid like 60 grand so far for this knowledge, and I'm gifting it to you for free. So you're welcome. You're very welcome. I think we should clap that one out. That's a lot of money, everybody. There we go. Okay. So everybody take your pointer finger and your thumb, and then put one finger on one side of your nose. And then breathe in. And then switch your nostrils, and then breathe out. And then you just keep doing that. Apparently it helps you breathe. I don't know. That was 60K right there. You're welcome, everybody. Come again next week.
Must have been a Penn State education.
Hey, Ohio State, I don't know. You know what? Whatever. I go to Penn State. Dwight likes Ohio State in case anybody didn't know that. All right, let's worship.
He's
child of God. Come on, why don't you shout a little bit? There you go. All right. I'm the queen of the awkward transitions, everybody. Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest, and without you, I fall apart, 'cause you're the one that guides my heart. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Sin runs deep, grace is more. Where grace is found is where you are. And where you are, Lord, I am free. 'Cause holiness is Christ in me. Yes, where you are, Lord, I am free. 'Cause holiness is Christ in me. Teach my soul to rise to you when temptation comes my way. When I cannot stand or fall on you, Jesus, you're my hope and stay. When I cannot stand or fall on you, Jesus, you're my hope and stay. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Oh God, how I need. God, some of us really need you today. We need you yesterday. We need you tomorrow. We need you every day of our lives. And for some of us that maybe haven't accepted you in our hearts yet, I pray that you just work in those people today, God. Because we all need you every day. No matter what happens, we need you. In our good days and our bad days. And I know sometimes in our good days it's hard to still realize that it's because of you, God. But it is. I just want everybody to know we need you today. God's people said. Wait, one more time. And all God's people said. Okay.
No, you're good. I'm here to help. How can I serve you better? Josh's cord. I could die on that. It's all right. Morning. Hi. Hello. Thanks for all your help for the people that did VBS. Like, that was awesome. We had a great week. I just want you to know that that is part of what we talk about when we talk about serving. And I know not everybody got a chance or you had to work and stuff like that. But when you guys serve in that way, it's such a big deal, especially seeing how many of you guys actually did VBS as a kid? Do you remember? Or maybe a camp, VBS, or a camp, you went away to camp and something like that. Like, do you remember at least one of your leaders that had somewhat of an impact on your life? Like, or you know, DJ Caleb this week was like everybody's favorite for some reason. Like, he wore like beards and glasses and hats and the funny part was like they made a DJ booth and there was nothing behind it. He was just like faking it the whole time. It was awesome, and everybody loved him. And so I just know that like you can have an impact on people's lives. Not only a lot of times we talk about how you can have an impact with your friends or in your dating relationships, but boy, those are opportunities to have an impact. Whether it's volunteering over at maybe you go to this Sunday morning and then you volunteer with the kids ministry, like that's a huge deal. And so thank you for everybody that took time out, because I mean our leaders, our small group leaders, like they're volunteers. So even here every week when they engage in your life, it means that they actually care about you. It's not to build themselves up, maybe, I don't know. But for the most part, it is because they actually care about you. And that's what happens when we start serving and volunteering and giving back. And so it's so important. So those of you guys that volunteered, thank you, thank you, thank you. You made a huge impact in the lives of 139 little kids that showed up every night. And then like there was the Thursday night where all the preschoolers show up and they think it's the greatest thing in the world. My daughter did. I mean, she wouldn't shut up for the rest of the week, just like had the great time. So thank you. Fantastic work. So let's get into our series so we can get you in a small group. We've been doing this Messes and Miracles. We're going to talk through Moses a little bit because I think there's practical application of our Bible. Talking about the real part of their life, not even the whole big, deep spiritual discussions, which I think are very important. But I think sometimes it's okay to just slow down and talk about the story, because we learn stories as kids, especially like at VBS. We learn those stories of like Noah's Ark, and you sing the songs. You're like, hey, Lord made to Noah, Arky, Arky. You know, those songs are Pharaoh, let my people go. Yeah, that one. I totally messed it up, whatever. We're not singing the whole thing because you know I can't sing. But we sing Noah's Ark, you know, Moses and Pharaoh, like we sing those songs, but sometimes we don't talk about the real of the story. And I think it's so interesting as you get older to get into the real concept of the story. My small group, I think I've already mentioned this on Wednesday night, I mentioned that Moses killed somebody, and they're like, oh, what? Like, you know, we talk about Noah's Ark and how like, hey, you know, 8 people survived, the rest of the world died, you know, the bodies banging up against the boat, and you're like, wow, pretty morbid. Yeah, it really happened. Let's talk about the real of the boat and what that meant and what punishment means and the fact that God didn't want to do it, but people's hearts were hardened. So I think there's some importance for us to talk about the reals of the story and the real application, because if you don't understand that, those little contexts, you won't have those like big aha moments about God. And so last week we got into, this week. Last week we got into, so we're going to talk about the burning bush. Everybody knows, not everybody, I make an assumption, the story of Moses and the burning bush. And you're like, well, there was a tree that didn't burn. That's pretty cool. Whatever. We kind of glaze over that because we know the story for most of us that understand Christianity. Some of you guys are like, wait, burning bush, what? Tell me more. Last week we talked about some messes, so the baby portion. So if you remember last week, for those of you who weren't here, Moses was born under an edict that the Pharaoh said all children, all male children need to be killed because the Israelites are reproducing. Remember last week we talked when mommy and daddy love each other so much. They reproduce and there's more Israelites. And they were happening so fast that the Pharaoh was worried that what would happen is there'd be too many Israelites and they would overtake the Egyptian rule. And so they just started killing males, thinking that would take care of the problem. And so they would hide the boys. And so Moses' mom put him in a basket and then trusted his sister not to sink him. As she followed along the basket was found by Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh's daughter said, I want to keep it. So she had like a little Israelite pet, like a little Shia pet. But they're like, wait, to keep it alive, you have to nurse it. And so they're like, oh, little girl, go find somebody that can nurse this baby until I can take over being its mom. And so they found Moses' mom to do it. So she got to like be part of the process. So, and what I wanted to say in week 1, some messes are outside of our control. You guys have messes in your life that are outside of your control. There are things that are happening, whether it's chemical in your body as you change. There's some things you guys are figuring out in your life right now that is a little bit out of your control. It just happens naturally. And so you're figuring out how to live that life. Some of it's maybe bad choices that other people make in your life, or maybe it's a divorce. You didn't choose that, but it's on you, and now you have to go from one house to another house, and that's not your fault. And some of those messes are outside of your control. Moses didn't choose to be Pharaoh's daughter, but that's where God placed him for a reason. And if you understand the story, one thing had to happen for the next thing to happen for the next thing to happen. And in the moment, he's probably going, what is going on, God? I don't get it. But God moved him in the places, and I assume that as he looked back, he goes, oh. Have you ever had those moments where, like, you get in life and you're like, God, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Maybe it was a bad relationship and you're like, I'm so heartbroken. Or a friendship ends, or you had to change schools and you get there and you're like, I found my new best friend. This is great. But you wouldn't have if you were in those friendships. Those kind of things happen. God moves you to places and you go through some hardship to get there, and some of it's outside of your control. So that is Moses' beginning story. But this week I want to talk about some messes you did get yourself into, and God will redeem it. Sometimes, I think I mentioned it last week, some people are like, the devil's just tempting me. Oh, it's so hard. And I'm like, no, you're just an idiot, made bad choices. That wasn't the devil tempting you. That's just normal dealing with sin, the struggle with sin. We all get to struggle with sin. Newsflash, you guys are all sinners. I know it, and you should probably know it too, that I am as well in your small group. Like, we all screw up. We're all screw-ups. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. I think far too often people don't want to admit that we mess up. Let's not keep it a secret anymore. I understand everybody's got secrets that they do not want to make it to the light of day. Because it's super embarrassing. But sometimes that needs to happen for us to be fully redeemed. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So, Moses. You guys know a little bit about the story. So Moses becomes the Pharaoh's son in kidnapped or whatever. I don't know what the official title is. Whatever. New pet, grandfather of the new dog of Israelite. So Moses is in a position of authority. He sees Israelites being mistreated. And one specific guy is really lashing out at one of the Israelite slaves. And he's whipping him. And Moses gets so mad that he kills him. He murders a slave master, an Egyptian leader, if you will. Like, they had a position in the Egyptian life. So an Israelite kills an Egyptian. That's a big deal. That's a bad deal. That's trouble. So his anger, I'm going to say this out loud, but you don't have to raise your hand. Where are my angry people? You get angry sometimes. Like, where are my, it's tough for me to control my anger. There's moments where, frustration boils over. I have times too. I'm not as much, but it occasionally does. There's other people on staff that will say, it's me, it's what I've been struggling with. Mine always is with my mouth. I still occasionally let out a couple of cuss words. I still struggle with it. I tell the story all the time, but there's more stories than that. That's not the last time I've said a curse word, just letting you know. The van trip I've told you guys about. But So he gets mad and he lashes out. He did that. Moses did that. Moses caused the problem. And so all of a sudden, it wasn't, the devil going, you should really kill him. That would be fantastic, Murder him would be fun. No, that's not the devil tempting. He just got angry and gave into the sinful nature that was inside of him. We all have it. Just like spiritual gifts, we all have what they call a cardinal sin. A sin we're more apt to do than others, the one we're really struggling with. I don't know if you want to call it an addiction, if you will. Some of it is that anger. Some of it is pornography or some sort of addiction, whether it be food or not eating food. Like we struggle with something that we're more apt to do than other things, and we're trying to get victory over it. Moses seemed to be angered at the point that he killed somebody else. Like I don't think I've ever come to a point where I'm like, you look like you could be dead, and I could help you with that. Like that's not who I am on the inside. But angry people are like, I've thought about it several times. I have siblings you don't even know. So Moses is broken because of his sin and goes into exile. So he's got these things happening in his life, the guilt that's happening with sin. I think a lot of times when we do the sin that we don't want to do but we're struggling with, we always look back and go, it was fun for the moment. Maybe not killing, maybe, I don't know. I keep looking at you. I don't know why. Like, she's probably going to be a mass murderer. Everybody's like... I kid, I joke, please don't prove me right. Okay, you could be, I don't know. The exit's here, you guys are in a good place. But you guys get what I'm saying, like we all like our sin, and then at the end you're like, I know I shouldn't have done that. Like, it doesn't feel good, or there's repercussions right away, and we get frustrated, and we're like, why did I do that? And we beat ourselves up, and that guilt starts to creep in. The problem is the more and more we do it, the more and more we give in, it's harder and harder. That guilt kind of gets pushed away, and we're like, I guess that's just who I am. That's not who you are. God didn't design you to live in a life of sin and guilt and anger and frustration. And so for Moses, he ran away. Like, some of us do that. We run away from our problems. Are we good at that nowadays, where we see a problem and then we just go, it's just easier. I'll forget about it. See, I'm not going to hang around that person. He's a jerk anyway. And we make excuses not to do something with another person. We make excuses on why they're wrong and I'm right and justify it. Moses ran away, and he ran into the desert, and he went into exile. He had this great position. God put him in the position to do things. He made a dumb choice, and now he was living with his consequences. That's not something that God goes, you know what, I think I should help him murder somebody so he can go into exile and know what it's like to be in exile. That'll be a ton of fun. God's not doing that to you. God is good. That is our own guilt and sin nature. Like, that's us. And that's a little bit about today, what I want to talk about. Some of it is us, and we need to be real about that. Moses did that to himself, but it doesn't mean God can't redeem it. So in exile, Moses feels the guilt, the weight of the sin, the frustration of the sin. And the cool part about it is Moses sees another injustice. There's these girls that are going out to feed their sheep, this group of any families, like all girls. Like, we're in my all-girl family. I almost had an all-girl family. Whew, dodged a bullet on that one. Okay, so all-girl families. That's a lot of girls. So these girls are out tending sheep and flock and getting water and stuff like that, and these guys come and start harassing them. And start causing trouble for these young ladies. And Moses sees the injustice. He had just seen the injustice and he murdered somebody. And now he's under the weight of that guilt and that sin. And he's like, I see the injustice, but I need to do it God's way. And so he runs them off. He makes sure he's like, get out of here, don't come back again. He stands up for the weak, but he does it in a way that he doesn't sin against God. He doesn't commit murder. He still runs them off. What they're doing is wrong. And so he ends up getting to marry one of the ladies. So, like, I think that's a cool, first and foremost, like, that's cool. Like, I commit murder, run into exile, feel really guilty, help somebody, and I find my wife. Yay, there's our marriage story. Can you imagine that, ladies? I married a murderer. So, but that's the story. Like, people go, the Bible's so boring. Read it. It's hilarious and cool at the same time. Like, can you imagine your love story if you're like, he murdered somebody, but he's better now? So, all right, so you guys get a little bit like there. The Bible is, if you think about it logically, can you imagine being the sister going, I want him, no, I want him. No, you can definitely have him. So he gets to marry his wife, and he's still in exile. And so finally God says, listen, now that you've redeemed and restored, he redeemed and restored himself. And that's the important part. We live so much for the sin we committed, some of us many years ago. And we feel the shame and we feel the guilt, and we live under that. And Moses asked for forgiveness, and Moses changed the way he worked. He obviously worked on his anger. And so Moses changed who he was, and he didn't live in that sin anymore, but he was still feeling pretty guilty, because when God comes to him, he's like, I can't do this, I can't do that. God, you know what happens when people tick me off. Like, he has a conversation, and that's where I want to go today, because God gets his attention because things are going to change. So after he's figured all this out, God shows up in a bush that is on fire but not burning up the bush. Has anybody seen something amazing happen that you can't explain? So, like, even I saw something amazing this week. I golfed. Does anybody golf, like, even poorly? Okay, so good or like ish? Okay, I go out like 2 or 3 times a year, maybe 4. I golf in a scramble with people that can golf, so that every once in a while I'm like, hey, that's the ball we get to use because I'm amazing, like twice during the round, and then drink Gatorade and talk to people, and I love it. You know, you get to ride the cart, and if it's wet out, you get to do the like spin outs. Oh, it's amazing. I love golf. So I went out with a friend this week to the Young Life charity thing, and it was a best ball. So at both you hit, and you look at each of your balls, and you're like, we can't find yours, so we're going to hit yours. Well, we can't find both of them. We'll pretend that it landed here. Golf. You know what I'm talking about, right? So we're playing golf, and we have another pair with us, and it was just really cool. And so my friend, he gets up, and again, we're both scratch golfers. We're not amazing. Together, we shot 79, which is bad because par is 72. So we get up, and we're on this. It was a par 4, which means you have 4 shots to get in the hole to be even. And so we're on our 3rd shot, and we're 167 yards out. That's how bad we are. There you go. We're like, ooh, for birdie. So I put it on the green maybe 15 feet from the hole. We're like, whoa, we got a long putt for par, but yeah, we could be average for once. And so he walks up and he nails it, and we're like, oh, that looks pretty good. That's nice. And it disappears in the hole. From 167 yards out, my friend buries the shot. I'm sitting there going, wah! Like freaking out. And he's like, where'd it go? I didn't see where it went. I'm like, it went in the hole. Nuh-uh. Like, of course, we're old, so part of the reason was like, I pretty much can't see that far. Caitlin's in the back going, I feel you, I'm blind. I can't see 3 feet in front of my face. Love you, Caitlin. But yeah, so like, I saw something amazing this week because 2 average, terrible golfers that sometimes the ball goes straight, it went in the hole. Like, what? It gets our attention. The guys we were golfing with were like cheering for us, even though they're like, I've never seen that. It was pretty cool. It gets our attention. I think God sometimes puts things in front of us that are so amazing that you have to stop and go, I mean, if there's a bush, if somebody hits a golf shot like that, do you cheer or go, yeah, that's pretty good? You would cheer. Like there's a natural reaction to when something amazing happens. Like, you know, dads that are like hardened criminal men with tattoos and all that stuff, but they see their kid being born, they're like, you know, their allergies go nuts. Like, some things in this world we have to go, I need to see that. It does something to me. And so Moses gets this thing where he's like, there's a bush on fire, but it's not burning. So, of course, like I would too, and I'm pretty sure every teenage boy would be like, fire, sweet, let's go check it out. Maybe some of the girls too, but definitely all the guys, they're like, marshmallows. So he sees something amazing, and God speaks to him in the burning bush because of his curiosity. He's seen something, and he says, things are going to change again. We are going to use your brokenness. We are going to use the things out of your control, in your control. We're going to use, part of the reason why he could have sunk that, because I'd already written this message. That was not part of like this sermon at all originally. But part of the reason he could have sunk that is because it fit with the message right here and right now. I have enough experience that I get to look back and go, I've seen that amazing thing and I know why God used it. I saw that amazing thing. I know why God used it. I hope that you guys start realizing there's some things out of your control. Get it. You're all sinners. You're all broken. But God can still redeem and use that. And then when we see those amazing things, get ready. God wants you to use it. He wants to tell you. I think in our society, we've lost a little bit about the idea that, there's a man that loves you so much that he came to this earth, born in a manger, lived a life that was perfect, even though everybody hated him and said bad things, or not everybody, but quite a few people hated him, said bad things about him, tried to murder him several times, and all the while he was still thinking about you and your salvation and trying to get you guys to a right relationship with God. And so many people go, you know what, man, heaven, that's like, I can't wait to get, you can be in the presence of God right now, and he thought about that, and he redeemed you. You can feel those cold chills of like the Holy Spirit working your life and seeing how it's moving. He did all of that for you, and we lose the fact that that's pretty flippin' amazing, like really, really amazing. And sometimes we get, those golf shots, like we see on TV pretty regularly now. Those guys golf enough that you're like, oh, somebody else hit a hole-in-one, great job. But when you see it from like a couple of doofus golfers, like, a bunch of duffers that, we don't golf. When you see that, you go, oh, that was cool. Thank you, God, for using that so that we can use this in the story. And you are going to start seeing amazing things. My hope is you start seeing beauty around you. Pastor Mike talked a couple of weeks ago, the fact that you just being here and functioning and your body, like within a couple of degrees, functions fully and blood flowing through your system. And like that is all a huge miracle. But sometimes we don't realize that because it's common to us. You are a miracle. Don't go home to mom and dad and be like, Dwight said I'm a miracle, so just accept me. Like, love me. Like, yes, we love you. Yes, we love you. But the fact that you're married, like I look at my kids and I go, we made that. Like, that's pretty cool. When a mommy and a dad, no, we're not this sermon series. But God will use things in your life. Far too often, go to High Rock and hang out for a bit, not just with your friends, but to be quiet. I know everybody's like, oh, I don't know, whatever. Like, because we've seen it a bunch. Actually, I've never been there still. Like, I've been here 10 years, never been to High Rock. Yeah, I know, crazy. Everybody says that. Go to one of those lookouts and just look out and be like, God just spoke, and this exists. Like, take time to realize that if you believe in Jesus, you also believe in the fact that God made you exactly how he wanted you, with a story he wanted you to have. He turned on in your brain that you like this versus you like that, and you're this gender, or you're this height or weight. You're all of these things because he wants you to have those for the purpose and desire that he wants. And he's going to use some things in your life, some good and some bad. He saw a burning bush. You could probably see a burning car. And I know that sounds scary, but sometimes for us to get outside of our sin may cause a car accident. And I know stories of people that said, I knew and found God because I walked away from that. And I couldn't believe I did. The problem is we don't always see that. Moses, it was a burning bush. But for us, it happens all the time. And when it does happen, my hope is you guys are ready because something is going to change. He's going to require you to do something. And you can still say no. If you look at the sermon series we've been going over, like the people that we're talking in the Bible, the reason why we're talking about them is because they said yes and they trusted that God was going to do something. Everybody's like, I wish that story would happen to me. Did you say yes when things could have been really hard? You know, we said yes with Selah, and I said yes with a book, and we've got some cool things happening in the Karkins' lives, and we say yes to getting a pie in the face and wearing a Frozen dress at Vacation Bible School. If you haven't seen those pictures, they're amazing. Somebody's fabulous. But we also raised $3,600 for books and Bibles for kids for Casey Bauer in Honduras. Like, sometimes you got to get rid of the fact that everybody's like, oh, I need my dignity. I wore a dress, settle down, dignity's out the door. I have tea parties with my daughters, and I'm not ashamed of it because I want to pour into my girl's life. We worry so much about what other people are going to think of us, and we forget to think about what God knows of us. Not thinks, but knows of us and how he creates and designs. For Moses, it was the fact that God already knew he was a stutterer, knew he wasn't great with words, knew he had anger problems, knew definitely that he murdered somebody, knew all of that, and he still said, you're going to be the person that redeems my people from slavery. God is going to use you. I am going to use it. And the same with you. And the biggest part about that is you still have to say yes. Because if you say no, then yeah, there's going to be hard probably with it. But you're never going to reach that plateau. You're a miracle. You guys are wonderful, beautiful, handsome, created with a purpose and a desire. And so God got Moses' attention with a bush. Are you paying attention to the fact that you are already a miracle? Like I said, Pastor Mike already said that a couple weeks ago in his sermon. You are already a miracle. You just being here is a miracle. So start seeing God's beauty. Start seeing those cool things and how you can use them. I mean, I could have just been like, hey, that golf shot was amazing. But I go, that golf shot's amazing, and it goes along with the sermon that I'm about to preach. Let me tell it to other people. When we see good things, like if you would have hit that shot, and you said you golf, if you hit that shot, would you go, oh, that's cool? Or who would you tell? Definitely your dad, but would you put, like, if you had a video of it, would you just be like, oh, that's a cool video, I'll play that every once in a while? Or would you post it out on every social media possible? You would keep it to yourself. You wouldn't brag that you hit a hole in one. All right, look at him being modest. Way to ruin my... No, I'm just kidding. I think you would tell somebody. You would definitely tell these two. You would definitely tell these two. He would talk about it all the time. Remember that time I hit a hole in one? That was amazing. I think we lose sight of who Jesus is. Do you love him enough that what he's done for you is amazing, and we start talking about our testimony, we start talking in our lives about what he's done? I hope that you start seeing those burning bush moments and God calling you to something exciting. Seniors, graduating seniors, P.S. you are allowed to come to young adults. It's a welty tonight. I hope you guys start seeing God moving, even in small ways, and using those to his glory. Again, it's about his glory, not about making us famous. If you're doing it to make yourself famous, then God's not in that. He's in it when you're in it for him. Yeah? All right, let's pray. Are there any cards coming up? I want to make sure that... All right, no cards. God, you are a good God. You're a big God. You laid down everybody's life, and it connects perfectly in the way that you want it, whether it's relationships, friendships, being here, going out in the world and giving us opportunities to share who you are in our lives. Like, help us shout that from the rooftop. God, you are so big and so good that you can make a tree catch on fire and not even burn. Help us to see when you're trying to get our attention, both in the good and when we're doing something stupid and we shouldn't, and you're yelling at us, please stop. And so, God, continue to be present in our lives. Continue to show us where you want us to go, even in our faults and our brokenness. continue to love us because that's what you do, and help us to realize that that's what you are doing. God, we ask all these in your heavenly and precious Son's name. All God's people sit. All right, get small groups.
I got two of my friends on the stream.
Woo!